Let's take a look. I'll shrink my massive head down. And so, big question, are we going to drop tomorrow? In my opinion, we absolutely do. I think we're going to expect at least a quarter point. I think they might be smart to actually do a 0.5%, especially if this tariff craziness continues. But let's look even more. So from one perspective, we always talk about inflation as the main driver on whether or not Bank of Canada is going to be adjusting, but we also have to look at employment or unemployment. We had record breaking in December. We came in around 90,000, estimations of 10,000. January was pretty high, but February is starting to stall out. We're starting to see a lot of impacts of these tariffs. So are we going to be getting a rate drop? Well, inflation's still there, but the unemployment's driving that factor. There's some other factors you might have heard of. The first one, of course, is Doug Ford slapped on a 25% tariff on electricity going to the United States, which is going to affect around 1.5 million Americans. They're about 400 million, so pretty small, quarter of 1% on that, but they're probably going to be, well, I'd say they'd be loud on their complaints onto that. Doug Ford has said if Trump retaliates, that he will now, this secondary, so this retaliation just continued, he will now just cut off their power. So hopefully they've got their cell phones charged long enough to be able to reach out to Trump and tell him to stop effing around. So Trump, now we got Ford. Of course, we all expected Trump to be just rational and reasonable and say, okay, well, let's decrease. If you believe that, then I've got some other bullshit for you too. But of course, he now has retaliated. And this just out within, as of 11 or 10:54, so, about 7-8 minutes ago, he's now going to double the tariffs on Canadian metals to 50%. So, started at 10 to 25, goes to 25. We now slap on a tariff and remove all booze from America and the LCBO. He now goes to 50. Is Ford now going to call, is he calling Ford's bluff? Is he now going to just cut off power to those 1.5 million Americans? Yet to be seen. That should be happening or reviewing in the next day or two. All of this, alongside the fact that we have unemployment, cutting and going down, which with the tariffs in place will only continue to go down. If you're debating whether or not we're going to get a rate cut tomorrow, I think you're pretty a safe bet that we're going to at least get a quarter. If the Bank of Canada doesn't, oh my good God, yet to be seen. But that's where I'm betting and aligning. We've been talking about this for the last few weeks, last few months. Is we should be taking fixed or variable. There is no argument here as to whether or not which one you should be taking. We've got BMO that came out 3 weeks ago with 1.5% reduction in prime if the tariffs continue. RBC now also agreeing. We're waiting for BMO and Scotia to release and TD put out some as to how much further. Prime sitting at about 5.2. If you're a high ratio mortgage, so less than 20% down, you're getting about prime minus 65. All right, it was prime minus 1. The spread has compressed. Sounds weird, but there's two factors that go into variable mortgage. Prime, so as that goes up and down, and the spread from prime. Historically, we've generally been prime minus. We have had times, and within my career, a few times where it was prime plus. We're at prime minus, but that spread is compressing. Banks are taking some profitability. Big surprise. They're expecting that we'll probably not have as big of a year potentially, so they're taking a bit more of that profit into place. So you can do a pre-approval on variable rate mortgages, meaning we can hold for up to 4 months the spread from prime. So if that spread, prime goes down, if the spread gets narrower, we can actually hold that in place for both pre-approvals and on real deals, all right? If you are conventional, meaning over 1.5 million, putting more than 20%, you are conventional, meaning over 1.5 million, putting more than 20% down, looking and not a first-time home buyer looking for 30-year amortization, then you're about prime minus 0.4 to prime minus 0.5. So you do get a lower rate with CMHC premiums. So if you are an insured mortgage, you do get a slightly cheaper rate, but then of course you have to pay the CMHC premium and the PST on that. So tomorrow, big news. Of course, you have to pay the CMHC premium and the PST